Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo. The following thoughts, views, and opinions are not necessarily those of 89.1 FM, WIDR Kalamazoo, or Western Michigan University. Although I feel a lot of people will probably agree on one basic thing. I don't know if you felt this walking around today. So, I was going to be pretty down regardless of the results.
I knew yesterday was going to be awful one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yesterday was not a good day for America.
No.
I knew that waking up. I did not think that it was going to be this bad.
It's especially by virtue of the fact that that orange Biff Tannen proto-fascist buffoon won. It was just like an air of death hanging. Like I was going around. I went to Fourth Coast today, just doing my nose. It was just so quiet. Everybody's just, it's like everybody is attending a funeral in the city of Kalamazoo.
I mean, it's really, it really is kind of like a funeral. Like we're looking at Scalia 2.0. We're looking at Bush tax cuts 2.0. We're talking about potential trade war with China.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we got beat down bad. Those with an anti-corruption or a progressive agenda, or just a transpartisan agenda against corruption, like I just said. Yesterday was not a good day. No. Oh, man. Got whooped up and down the ticket. Okay, we got to do some quick promos. I'm play a song. It's very pertinent to what's going on. And we will be getting into the nitty-gritty, talking about the local elections, and, of course, the story of the century. What are we calling it? Because there's Brexit and American Trumpsit.
I really like sticking with what we've been calling it all election, the referendum on the establishment.
Yeah,
I'm not afraid to keep using big words, guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, so we'll take a quick break from some of our folks with our PSAs and our underwriting, and then we'll get back and, talk about it. Woof. All right. Keep your locked. This is the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, your only source for political revolution.
This is Maria Bamford. Oh no, I screwed it up. Okay. This is Maria Bamford, and you're listening. No, I did it again. This is Maria Bamford, and you're listening to WIDR-FM.
Support for Wider FM comes from Pedal Bicycles, now with 2 locations in downtown Kalamazoo and Portage. Pedal Bicycles has the right bike for every Kalamazoo rider, whether you're blazing the trails, cruising the streets, or just getting off the training wheels. To keep your ride running smooth, Pedal Bicycles offers multiple levels of repair services, anything from a quick tune-up to a complete overhaul. And to keep you safe and looking fly, Pedal Bicycles has all of the gear and apparel you'll need. To discover your spin within, head to 185 Romans Road in Portage, 611 West Michigan Avenue in downtown Kalamazoo, or pedalbicycle.com. Thanks, Pedal Bicycle, for supporting sustainable transportation, Buns of Steel, and Radio Evolution.
It's time for our weekly RSO Spotlight here on WIDR Kalamazoo.
Hi, my name is Kayla.
And I'm Kate. We are part of the public relations organization here at Western Michigan University.
We would like to invite all business and communication related majors to come to our monthly meetings, where we work on skills such as networking, professionalism, and writing.
You can find out more info on our Facebook page by searching at WMU Public Relations.
This has been our weekly RSO Spotlight here on WIDR Kalamazoo. For more Spotlight coverage, head to Western Herald or YBot Connects on Twitter. To find more information on how to spotlight your RSO, head to WIDRFM.org.
John is in America, low tax at the wheel. No one needs anyone, they don't even just pretend. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. American. God is an 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 American.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. You're listening to the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only here on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo. So, yeah, like we were saying, yesterday was not a good day, and I do want to start by talking about some of the local races going on, and we didn't have many successes there either.
Thanks, gerrymandering.
Thank you, gerrymandering. Yeah, and to be fair, like the way our district is shaped is not too peculiar. It's square shaped. It goes from like South Haven up to oh crap, I can't remember exactly where, but you know, it's part of the reason that centrist Republicans do so well in this district, because you have this mix of, like, Kalamazoo is a very, like, liberal hot spot, and you have a lot of, like, working class people in the rural areas who, you know, granted, you know, Michigan went red this year, but a lot of those people are more
I mean, I believe that Michigan went red mostly because of the populist message bringing jobs back to America, putting America back to work, which, if Donald Trump follows through on that, you know, that's actually a positive.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the whole thing, though, he's already looking. I was reading an article. He's like looking to fill his cabinet with a lot of lobbyists and you know, those same sort of corporate economic tacticians that you saw Obama, you saw Bush use. It's, you know, one of the saddest things to me about this whole Trump thing is even the people who support him don't like him, and they're not going to get what they want. Like, even the people who like him aren't going to get what they want. I've kind of joked with some people. He's like the regressive, hyper right-wing Obama. And 4 to 8 years, it's going to be a bunch of people saying, like, well, he told us he'd build a wall, and he said he'd ban all the Muslims. He didn't do any of that stuff. He only pays lip service to my issues, like hating homosexuals. Yeah, sorry. And by the way, if you guys still are like Obama, I would point to you to the TPP and drone warfare, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, I'm getting a little bit off track here.
Anyway.
Yeah, talk about how some of the local races panned out. So, full disclosure, I was a volunteer for the Paul Clements campaign. He's ran against for Upton, I believe, twice before.
Yep.
And he did somewhat better this round, but not by enough. Fred got 59% of the vote, and Paul got 36%. And yeah, Fred had an almost 100,000 vote lead on Fred, or no, more like 80,000, 70,000.
It was still significant.
Significant. And yeah, one of the really gross ironies of that was Paul, of those two people, Paul was the populist.
Yep.
He was, and like, full disclosure, I've known Paul and Paul's family for a few years now. I think we both went to school with his daughters.
We did.
Right? Yep. And
my sister was in the Kalamazoo Children's Chorus with them. So we're not strangers to the Clements family.
Right. And Paul he's a really good guy. And, granted, I didn't really get involved in politics until this year. I was mostly, an outsider. I was a political rapper. The whole system is a sewer. But Paul is one of those rare people running who we're starting to see him come out of the woodwork via, Bernie's political revolution. But he's one of those rare politicians who actually wanted to represent us and wanted to actually fix the system. And what is so sad is all of these people who voted for Fred Upton, most of them voted for Trump and just filled in the Republican ballot.
Straight Republican ticket.
Yes.
Just because Democrats are dirty for the reason because they're Democrats. Yeah. Guys, this needs to be said, especially among our local races and our local politicians, and especially concerning our representatives in the House and the Senate in Washington, D.C. We all are disappointed in our government. Everybody is. The approval rating for Congress has been in the single digits for more than 3 years now. Do you think that it's Obama that's keeping people from doing things? It's not Obama that is keeping things from happening. It is the Republican majorities in the House and the Senate that have been keeping things from happening for the last 8 years. They've held our government hostage more than once because they're crybabies who can't compromise.
That's true. And we do critique Obama from the left, but that's a really big deal. A lot of the progress that Obama wanted to do, he couldn't or got stifled by the Republicans. Obamacare was going to be a much more progressive piece of legislation than it ended up being.
Republicans got exactly what they wanted from 20 years ago, and now they're complaining about how bad it is.
Right. Sometimes it's hilarious because you'll hear a lot of these right-wing journos refer to people like Hillary Clinton as a socialist, and you and me are just laughing our butts up. Oh, yeah, right.
Hillary Clinton is not a socialist.
Yeah, that woman has Goldman Sachs on speed dial. I don't know.
Her pantsuits, honestly, I'm pretty sure within the threading of them actually hold little what's the word? Little endorsements.
Yeah.
The little tags like race cars,
Yeah, and by the way, I feel extremely bad about basically everyone on the planet right now, except Hillary Clinton. She can go cry into a pile of lobbyist money for all I care.
She had every advantage this race, and she lost it.
Every advantage. And
I've been saying this. From the onset. I said this before the end of the Democratic primary. If Hillary Clinton became the nominee, she did. It was going to be her race to lose. And congratulations, America. She did it in a spectacular fashion.
Oh,
it was amazing. It was awe-inspiring just how badly she messed this up.
It was like a Greek tragedy. Did you have the arrogance?
She did everything wrong.
Corruption. Yeah.
She did everything wrong.
Everything.
Don't run. Donald Trump thrives in a PC sling, in a mudsling fest. That's how he climbed to the top of the Republican primary. Don't run a PC outrage campaign. We already all know that Donald Trump is terrible. If you attack his character, it just makes his supporters rally to him harder. Don't run a PC outrage campaign. Yeah. Hillary Clinton runs a PC outrage campain.
And late in the game, they finally started pointing out how he'd screwed over his employees, but they didn't start doing that until a month and a half out.
They did it too late.
It was too little too late. By then, all of his supporters were entrenched, and at that point, Hillary just became such an avatar for the sort of corruption that the Trump vote was kind of meant to throw a brick at. That, what it boils down to, and I know a lot of Hillary Clinton supporters will probably hear what we're saying, and it's these salty burners. And
I am a salty burner.
Well, I'm a salty Berner, but it's not about Bernie. I mean,
it's not about Bernie.
A
at this
moldy
point.
sandwich could have beaten Donald Trump. Okay, Martin O'Malley, Jim Webb, any of those people.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Jim Webb.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. If anyone is a Republican in a donkey suit, it's Jim Webb.
Yeah. Or that one, I don't even remember that one guy. He was so devoid of personality.
Lincoln Chafee.
Lincoln Chafee, yeah.
You're welcome.
I'm Lincoln Chafee. Yeah.
I'm Lincoln Chafee. I'm just an adorable old man.
Yeah, most forgettable person in American politics.
I'm literally the most bland thing that the Democrats could have put up,
Yeah.
and I would have beaten Donald Trump.
I mean, heck, if Hillary, you know what? If Hillary had dropped out a month before, it had Tim Kaine run for her.
Tim Kaine could have beat
Tim
Kaine because Tim Kaine doesn't carry the stains of the Clinton legacy.
No, he doesn't. And, you know, he's got his own problems and his own corporate
And they are
collusion.
many.
But just the fact that, like, he's like less known and less maligned than Hillary Clinton. Like, if she cared about this country, she would have stepped down after the primary because it was rigged. But
If she actually cared about this country, she would have taken a look at her own. She and her advisors would have taken a look at the head-to-head polls after the Republican convention, after it was made absolutely 100% clear that Donald Trump was going to be the GOP nominee. After Donald Trump met that number of delegates, if Hillary Clinton actually had cared about this country, she would have taken a look at the head-to-head pollings of Bernie Sanders versus Trump and her own numbers of herself versus Trump, and looked at those, just taken a look at the amount of data that had come out during that, seen that Bernie Sanders was polling 4 times better than she was against Trump.
times, yes.
Like, I'm sorry, the whole unity message from the Democratic National Convention was an Orwellian ruse.
Oh, so bad.
It was an Orwellian ruse, because if we actually cared about unity, and if we actually cared about stopping a proto-fascist from entering office, the superdelegates, Hillary Clinton, every single Democrat would have taken a look at that data and went, Bernie Sanders needs to be our candidate.
You know what? I think I'm going to read an excerpt from there's this really good piece I read. This was from Trent Lipinski, and this is an article he wrote on Medium. It says, "Dear Democrats, read this if you do not understand why Trump won." And the subline is, "Trump is what happens when you nominate a cheater and live in an echo chamber. Please learn from this." All right, and he starts by saying, "Did you read WikiLeaks?"
Well, he should have.
Yeah. "The conspiracies were true, and the mainstream media lied to you about everything. WikiLeaks was not Russian propaganda, it was the news. WikiLeaks has a 10-year record of never releasing a single falsified document and is not connected to Russia." And I believe a New York Times article actually also conceded this as well. And, you know, New York Times were proven to be colluding with Hillary during the primary. So if they come out and say the whole Russian thing is not true, then look, I don't know what more proof you need. Everything they released were the actual emails of Hillary Clinton and her campaign staff. You had the opportunity to look through a window into the Hillary Clinton campaign, but you didn't. By ignoring the leaks,
you ignored reality. It's just one of those things where, like 12 years ago, 2006 approximately, when WikiLeaks was leaking stuff about the Bush administration and the stuff that was going on with that, Democrats hailed Julian Assange and WikiLeaks as the defenders of democracy, and
they did,
and like they held him up as a paragon of freedom. And this year, when stuff that they didn't want to hit the airwaves, now all of a sudden they're evil and they're backed by Russia and somehow a puppet of Putin. And where did this McCarthyism come from, people?
Not to mention, like, you could actually see that happening at, like, top speeds with James Comey. That guy was a hero to Clinton supporters right before the convention when he said there's nothing in these emails prosecutable. He was a hero to Hillary people. It was a huge crushing blow to a lot of my activist friends who thought like, oh, maybe she'll get indicted and Bernie will get in. And I obviously, I never had any hope for that. It's just, but
a man can dream.
But then, so he does the same thing the week before the election. All of a sudden, he's horrible, and the FBI wants Trump to win, and a couple of people even threw like the whole Russian conspiracy thing, which, oh God. Talk about hypocrisy, because, throughout the whole primary, we were the ones being accused of wearing tinfoil hats based on all this completely provable bias and election fraud. And several months later, they stub their toe and they blame it on, Russian hackers and,
It's a complete... It's not only a disconnect from the people, from the establishment, it's just a straight up disconnect from reality. Like, your narratives aren't reality. Narratives are narratives. And pushing these kinds of delusional narratives that attack others without addressing the issues of the thing they're trying to defend, it's dishonest. And,
it's kind of interesting because I think this election proves something about Americans. Like, Americans are stupid, but they're not stupid, if this makes any sense. So, like, I feel like the American people were able to basically smell BS from the Clintons. Now, this is not to say... Well, you could argue, isn't it pretty stupid to vote for Donald Trump? And, well, I would say...
I would agree with that.
It is.
Yeah,
but, you also have to keep in mind, like, one, a lot of the people who voted for him are and it's like, go into these communities, people. Like, these places, there's opioid epidemics, there's no jobs. Like, Walmart is usually, like, the big hiring place in these communities.
It's a dystopia out there, guys.
It's bad. And some guy comes along, says the right thing, and look, one of these, there's an article I read, it just hit it perfectly. Those people who voted for Donald Trump but don't like him, those people would have given us Bernie, they would have given us a Democratic majority in the House and Senate, but
it didn't happen.
No, instead, the Republicans, who, ironically, this whole election cycle, mainstream media could talk about nothing about the imminent destruction of the Republican Party. Well, guess what? They got a president, they got the Senate, they got the House, and they're about to get a whole bunch of Supreme Court justices. So, yeah, which party is in trouble?
Where can I donate my soul to Ruth Bader Ginsburg's phylactery?
Yeah, please. Yeah. Send it. Yeah.
Can I donate a portion of my soul to extend the life of our liberal justices?
That would, yeah, please. And not even like, speaking like, I'm a left-leaning independent, but just from the basis of, I think a Supreme Court needs to be ideologically balanced in order to be in any way effective and resonate. Fair, yeah.
But the point is, Hillary Clinton, Clintonites out there, please don't misunderstand this as hate.
No,
it's not. Mm-hmm. It's just disappointing to see people who claim to be a member of the party of intellectuals be so blind to facts.
And this is the very same criticism that we've been lobbying at Fox News and all them for years, and it's weird. I feel like we're living in the upside down. Just any Stranger Things fans out there, yeah.
It was really weird, actually. When I woke up this morning, there was a dude in a suit. It's all black and white, and a door closed behind me. It was white.
Yeah,
I heard this weird music.
Yeah. It was like synth music, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're entering observe if you will.
Observe if you will.
Yes.
You are entering the scary door.
The scary door. Yes. All right. Well, I'm going to play a quick promo. Y'all stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Hoodrat Strategist radio program coming up. And, keep the faith, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say this a couple times through the program. As Harvey Dent said, the night is darkest just before the dawn. Yeah, we're in the middle of a very dark night right now. But the dawn is coming. And we'll make sure near the end of the show, we really want to talk about where do we go from here. This is just going to be us complaining about, here's all the mistakes they made, But we'll get around to that. We're going to talk a little bit more about local races, talk more about, kind of a post-mortem of this crazy election. And stay tuned. There's more Hoodrat Strategists coming up.
Is your nonprofit organization looking for new ways to get its name out to Western's campus and the greater Kalamazoo community? Why not use the wider airwaves? For more information on how we can work together to promote your organization and events, go to widerfm.org and click on the airtime and sponsorship page under the support tab.
Quick musical interlude, ladies and gentlemen. I need to do some housekeeping, and then we will be back in just a moment. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. This is the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo. So, what we were talking about in the break, another important local race, unfortunately did not go our way either. Mary Balkema, we've talked about her on the show. She is the Republican for county treasurer. And she just got another 4-year term. Got beat. Sonny got beat by about 10,000 votes. Now, if you need us to bring you up to speed. Here's the deal with Mary. Mary, not only is she a devout Trump supporter, she's not one of those bricks through the window people. She actually likes the dude. She also has a history of racial discrimination in her housing in local area housing. She's been noted to say things that are very, on the verge of racism. She refers to the North Side as the wrong side of the tracks.
That in itself is racist right there, guys.
And also...
The wrong side of town.
She's used her land bank to basically gentrify Kalamazoo at her discretion. Also, recent scandal with there was this blind African-American man who basically got kicked out of his house. And she was reported to ask, is he black? As when the situation was presented to her. So anyway, there's a lot of strong evidence that this woman has been up to a lot of uncouth hijinks. Racial discrimination. She's also, she went after the LGBT community a few years ago, transgender community. She was really on that whole bathroom thing, transgender people in the bathroom, which, talk about hypocrisy. You're going to try to save people from transgender people in the bathroom, and you supported the president-elect who just grabbed America by the you-know-what. So, how did this happen? All the bad people won, Luke. This sucks.
All the bad people won because we found out that there is a silent majority in America, and they're all terrible people.
I wouldn't go that far. But.
No, I'm being hyperbolic.
Yeah.
But there are definitely people who did go out and vote for Donald Trump because they felt like that they were legitimized in their hate of...
Oh, that's true.
In their hate of immigrants, in their hate of people seeking to come to America to better their lives one way or another. They felt like they were legitimized in hating on people who don't look like them or who don't believe like them. Those people were legitimized this election.
They were.
And no bones about it, there are people who came out to vote for Trump on those bases alone. I'm sorry, he was endorsed by the Ku Klux Klan.
I know.
Straight endorsed. You cannot tell me that white nationalism and white supremacy has not been legitimized by this candidate when we all really know that we should be treating one another like people with respect.
And, just this makes me think of here's something some of my radical activist friends have this equivalency between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. That, they're the same. They're both just as bad. It's no. Okay, Trump is worse. And here's why I think Trump is worse. Hillary could have done more damage politically, and I do believe that she's the corruption queen for a reason. But the damage that Donald Trump is going to have on our culture and public discourse is frankly gross. It's going to be terrifying. Even if he doesn't do any of the fascistic things that he talked about doing, he has, like Luke said, he has legitimized that sort of behavior. And, Mary Balkema, she's probably going to feel emboldened to be even more overt with her gentrification practices because she's got a president who's probably down with doing the same stuff, or at least is not going to care that she's doing that sort of thing. She's been politicians like her get legitimized, and this is going to have a really poor effect on our political discourse, because what happens when people see, okay, there was a successful Republican candidacy ran on this kind of platform? More politicians like that are going to emerge out of the woodwork with that kind of rhetoric. People who probably believe it a lot more than Donald Trump actually does. And this is going to be so bad. So Hillary would have been a tougher opponent as an anti-corruption activist, but you guys, the minefield of legitimized racism and misogyny that we are going to be entering into, we're going to need to All you social justice warriors out there, get ready. Put on your armor. Get your sword out, because this is it, folks. Strap in. Oh.
It's over the course of the last 24 hours, I've been involved in multiple discussions about this. And I do have conservative friends, and I have conservative friends that believe Donald Trump is the better option over Hillary Clinton. My question to them is, if you found Hillary Clinton distasteful for whatever reason, and this goes for my Democratic friends as well, you have to be able to admit when your poop stinks. You have to be able to suck it up and go, yes, our candidate sucked. Yes, our candidate is on some level unacceptable to the American people. You have to be able to reflect on what has happened, and you have to be able to reflect on what is going to happen.
Just a personal anecdote. I had a conversation with my dad, and Luke knows my dad. We've been friends for a while.
Yep.
And my dad is conservative. He's a single issue voter on gun control.
God bless Guy Argo.
Yep. And he voted for Bernie in the primary, though. And that was the first time in my life he's voted for a Democrat, but he liked the guy. He believed, like a lot of the political crossover voters for Bernie, that maybe didn't disagree with him ideologically, but understood, like at a gut level, this guy actually cares about us. And, we had a discussion about it, and I'm like, well, Dad, your guy won. And he's like, I know, it's terrible. And... it's still a thing where he wouldn't go back in time and vote for Hillary. No way. But he sees that, this is a dark cloud that is passing over our country. It is not good.
When conservatives in their own party can look at what we have just what we have just accepted into the White House, when they can look at that and go, it's a dark day for America, please understand that we got here together. We didn't, don't blame people, don't blame third-party voters for Clinton's loss.
Oh, boy.
Don't accuse others of, well, we could have made this better. Yes, we could have made this better. But due to the culture of legal corruption within our political system, and the fact that this entire election has been a referendum on the establishment, you cannot look at the last 18 months and go, well, maybe everything, if you can't look at it and say we could have done way better on one side or another, then you're wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing is, this is conservative backlash against conservative policies, conservative actions, and a fear of things that don't exist.
That's right. Oh, man. And I wanted to touch a little bit on, so you mentioned, don't blame the third party voters.
That's right.
Oh,
don't blame third-party voters. Guys, it's not Jill Stein's fault that Hillary Clinton lost. It's not. It's not Gary Johnson's fault that Hillary Clinton lost either.
Yeah. And we're not even saying that as political strategists. Look at the numbers. Seriously. If everybody who voted for Hillary and Johnson combined all voted for Hillary Clinton,
it wouldn't have changed the electoral vote at all. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, people.
Yep. And
53% of America wanted Hillary Clinton.
And I think it would have been, if Hillary had all those added votes, I think it would have been 269 to 272 or something. It would have been a lot closer, but Trump would have still won.
Yeah.
So, and here's why I wanted to bring this up. Now, what I've been hearing for weeks, I've got people in the movement. Me and Luke both voted third party. It was our decision, our choice. And I work with a lot of activists who voted strategically for Hillary Clinton. I had no enmity to them. There has been a lot of bickering and fighting in activist circles about that. For my part, I think we need to do both, and we should not denigrate each other over this issue. It's just divisive, and it's tearing about... It's fracturing the coalition that Bernie and all of us progressives, or even just non-corruption, anti-corruption folks,
shouting at third-party voters about how we're the reason. Third-party voters are the reason why Donald Trump is in office. No, the reason why Donald Trump is in office is because he rallied his base and he had people come out and vote for him who felt that they were legitimized. While Hillary Clinton was a milquetoast neocon who snubbed the progressive wing of her own party at every turn. While Hillary Clinton was busy bashing back the populist movement from the left, the populist movement from the right gained ground and solidified.
Exactly. And look at it any way you want. Trump is the one who had the thousands of people coming to his rallies, all right? And, I said this months ago, and I even forgot it myself. The candidate who has the enthusiasm is the one who's going to win. And I remember feeling that. I went to the Republican National Convention, and the atmosphere there, it was the same atmosphere a lot of leftists and progressives had about Obama in 2008. Like, this is our year. This is our time.
It was the same.
Our champion.
It's the same energy that people had at Bernie rallies.
Yes,
guys.
it is.
It was that same kind of energy. It was that same kind of enthusiasm. Hillary Clinton just didn't have that.
No,
and she missed opportunities to make sure that she kept that enthusiasm or build upon that enthusiasm. And nobody was excited to vote for Hillary Clinton. The majority of people were not excited to vote for Hillary Clinton. Most people who voted for Hillary Clinton this year voted for Hillary Clinton because Donald Trump was unacceptable. And third party candidates can't win.
Yeah. And I have some criticism towards Jill and Gary myself on that.
As do I.
Like they could have pulled some political jujitsu in this election, and I know the media didn't cover them, but to a point, come on, they could have. There's a lot of things they could have done.
Ultimately, like if it's not, this election proves that the mainstream media now does not have control over the political narrative. The internet does.
That's true. Yep.
Donald Trump.
Shifted.
Donald Trump and the alt-right memed Donald Trump into the office.
They did. Yep. And
we have an internet meme as our president-elect. Everybody.
Yeah. And like we've been saying, there was, Bernie was that force on the left, and the reason we say he would have beat Trump is because he would be playing on the same field. And when it comes to populism,
liberal populism is better.
Bernie is he's got way more game than Trump does. Trump is like the guy who says he can, run a 50-yard dash in like 2 minutes. Bernie's the guy who actually can do it. And
it's more like Donald Trump heard Bernie Sanders and went, "Hey, some of that stuff is actually resonating. I'm going to say that stuff. Yeah. I don't know what it means.
Oh, he does,
but it'll get me elected."
Yep. And let's see how many of those promises he adheres to. I bet he'll probably pass the TPP when he gets in. All right, let's go. We're going to do a show promo real quick, then we'll get back to discussion. Actually, let me finish the thought on a third party thing before we do that. So, I guess the biggest reason I brought this up, both me and Luke, we got dogpiled today on social media about this.
I've been fighting tooth. I haven't been dogpiled. I went out looking for these fights. I really did.
I didn't.
I'm an attack. I've been an attack dog on this point.
Yeah.
It's not my fault that your candidate was weak.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not my fault that your party decided to muck around in the democratic process and tip the scales in favor of an unlikable candidate. Yeah. I'm sorry that your party lost my vote.
For me, it doesn't even go. I don't even want to delve into that argument anymore. Here's the reality. Trump is going to be the next president. Holy crap. What are we going to do? And it feels to me
true.
We were all talking for weeks about how we couldn't wait for the election to be over so that we could reunite the progressive coalition and go after Hillary or go after Trump. And the first thing I hear today is it's like I come out, I emerge, I'm like, okay, guys, let's get together and defeat Donald Trump. And then somebody's like, did you vote for a third party? And I'm like, well, yeah, but that really doesn't matter. Isn't that totally irrelevant? And then the response is,
No.
off with his head.
Off with his head. You're the reason why America is under this cloud.
Yeah. Guys, get a grip. And I really hope, it's my hope that, everybody's emotions are really, high right now. And I think they'll get over it. But my big fear is, are the third-party voters going to be wearing, a Scarlet 3 for the next 4 years? Even though, like I said, she would have lost anyway without the third-party voters. Or with the third-party voters, I mean to say. But the main reason I'm upset about this is, look, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm not, mad because I'm, getting bullied online. Oh, no. No, what I'm saying, this is a waste of time.
Yeah.
There's an orange proto-fascist who's going to be our next president. We need to unite.
Fake tan bad wig Hitler is going to be in office.
Yes. The time to have...
Stop attacking your allies.
Stop attacking your allies. Stop attacking your allies. Stop attacking your allies. Okay, we disagreed about the voting thing. Yes. But we are wasting time arguing about that. And I refuse to argue about it. Like I was telling Luke earlier, people have been trying to engage me about this today, and my only response is, so how do we move forward and stop Donald Trump? And I just ask that over and over again until either they leave me alone or they actually engage in a meaningful discussion.
That is the question that every single bitter person on the left has to ask themselves today. And the sooner you ask it,
regardless who you voted for.
Regardless of who you voted for, if you are against Donald Trump, which i.e. is everyone who did not cast a vote for Donald Trump, ask yourself, how can we beat this guy?
Yes, exactly.
How do we stop the definite Republican supermajority on Capitol Hill? How do we keep them from rolling back 50 plus years of social progress?
Indeed. Yeah.
That's the struggle today. Mm-hmm. Please, let's stop playing the blame game. If you want to attribute blame, you know what? Fine. Keep it to yourself. We have bigger problems. Please, let's just agree to disagree. Okay, if you don't like me because I voted for Mimi Selitsky or Luke here voted for Jill Stein. Okay, you can disagree with that decision, but disliking us or blaming us, it's not constructive.
It's not constructive.
Whining is not constructive.
No, and that's what it is. It's whining. And I was accused of being like, oh, you guys were immature and being babies because you didn't vote for Hillary. I'm like, what are you doing right now?
I'm sorry that I still have an ideology that I believe in. I'm sorry that I don't want to compromise my own personal beliefs. I'm sorry that I don't think compromise is good today. Yeah. I'm sorry that I cannot. That the compromise alternatives, i.e. Hillary Clinton, the ultimate compromise. I'm sorry that compromise, it didn't meet my standards. It just didn't.
Yeah.
There are plenty of it, and if you know me or want to talk to me, please meet me in person. Let's sit down, let's have a drink. Let's talk about this, and I will tell you exactly why I couldn't support the Democratic candidate, and it's a laundry list of valid reasons. And if you think that my reasons aren't valid, then again, did you read WikiLeaks?
Yeah, that is really. Okay, let's go ahead and play a few words from promos and all that stuff. We'll come back and we're gonna keep talking about the aftermath of the series finale of America. Oh boy. Not all doom and gloom. We're gonna spend some time talking about movement strategy. We just did a little bit, and the first step is solidarity. Gosh, stop yelling at each other over this crap. It's stupid and it's not productive. All right, you're listening to the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only here on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo, your only source for political revolution.
Not here, you Burke. Give it to Lumpy Tom. Oh, we're back. And here comes a randy-looking couple. Excuse me, how do you like your grope clusters?
Well, we take our grope clusters at tea every Monday afternoon with DJ T and the Mondo Superlatives. Isn't that right, dear?
Where it is?
DJ T and the Mondo Superlatives, Monday afternoons from 3 to 5 on 89.1 FM, WIDR Kalamazoo.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me.
89.1 FM.
I'm going to say this again.
89.1 FM.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Remember, boy, you're the boss on land, in the air, and under the sea.
Mr. Boob, that's me. B-double-O-B, Boob.
The source.
Are you trying to get your local Kalamazoo business name out to the WMU and Greater Kalamazoo communities? Why not do so while supporting Radio Evolution through underwriting and donations? For more information, please visit widrfm.org.
It's time for our weekly RSO Spotlight here on WIDR Kalamazoo.
Hi, my name is Kayla.
And I'm Kate. We are part of the public relations organization here at Western Michigan University.
We would like to invite all business and communication related majors to come to our monthly meetings, where we work on skills such as networking, professionalism, and writing.
You can find out more info on our Facebook page by searching at WMU Public Relations.
This has been our weekly RSO Spotlight here on WIDR Kalamazoo. For more Spotlight coverage, head to Western Herald or YBot Connects on Twitter. To find more information on how to spotlight your RSO, head to widrfm.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, brief musical interlude so I can get some housekeeping done. We'll be right back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo. And as you know, for those of us who are, this show's all about calling out BS on the establishment and being about, exposing government corruption. Yesterday was kind of like a Game of Thrones episode. Just everybody you love dies, and King Joffrey is the next president. So I want to go ahead and we're really trying to do like a post-mortem on how is a reality TV former like WWE guest star who is basically like did everything possible to just be the biggest a-hole he could possibly be. How
You mean he was himself?
He was himself, yes. And I only in so much as like here's how despicable Trump is. I feel like somebody must have like talked to him about the Southern strategy. It's like, oh, okay, so if I'm racist, I'll get a bunch of racist votes. Yeah, I'll do that. And the whole thing about Donald Trump is, here's the thing that I don't like about Donald Trump. It's not that he's racist. It's that he's so oblivious and so craven that he'll just use race as a tactic to get votes. It's like he's done dealings with like Mexican businessmen, like Muslim ones, and he's also got this weird cognitive dissonance too, because like he'll be totally stunned that his Mexican and Muslim and black friends are like calling him out, and it's like, I thought you guys were my friends. I'm not racist. We've been friends forever. It's like you've been saying racist stuff for the past several months, you bonehead. Okay, before I drone on and on, I want to read a bit from this article published by Sean King. If you guys don't know, he's a great civil rights activist. He's actually organizing an injustice boycott coming up soon. If you Google that, find out more information. It's basically aimed at boycotting businesses that support injustice in the frame of the Black Lives Matter movement. But he's been really involved in this particular election season. You've probably seen him on Democracy Now!, Young Turks, that kind of stuff. And I especially wanted to read Sean King because Sean was really one of the strongest voices in the whole like vote tactically for Hillary bandwagon. Like him, Bill McKibben, a lot of them were really talking about like this is why, and like Sean actually he got kind of surly to like the third party voters, like the whole like white privilege argument. I don't really want to go too much into that. Like once again, this is old news. But I think both me and Luke, we've got like the white people of color, women who are just as fed up with this stuff.
Really, I'm really fed up with the white privilege argument because it assumes that you don't care about the people you care about.
Yeah,
ultimately.
It's like me, I'm Hoodrat. I call myself Hoodrat Strategist for a reason. I grew up in the hood. Luke grew up in kind of that same area too.
I grew up 10 blocks away from you, really?
Yeah, something about it like that, yeah.
Like just the next neighborhood over.
Yeah, so like when people talk, it's like you're not thinking of what will happen to your black and Hispanic friends.
That's
like,
a lie.
I grew up seeing my black and Hispanic friends get abused by the police and deal with, our scary like immigration infrastructure and all that. So like, don't tell me I don't care. I don't know. I'm not from the suburbs. All right. No offense to our friends from the suburbs, but it's like I've been aware of these issues.
I didn't grow up in a comfortable middle class household with 2 steady incomes, and like neither of us are come from a position where wealth is a factor, which ultimately like is the ultimate white privilege. Wealth really is the ultimate white privilege. Yeah. We both recognize that, yes, we have privilege, but we also recognize that like not voting for someone does not mean that we don't care.
That's true. And
it's just like how many people who voted for Trump, like, it's not that they don't care about the people that are going to come under attack by the culture that has been legitimized.
And just keep in mind, there's a diversity of opinion.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like all black and all Mexican people are telling you to vote for Hillary. Actually, 30% of Latinos voted for Trump. I don't know.
We are not a monolith.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, that was weird. But, like, I mean...
unless it's white people.
Yeah.
White people were pretty monolithic.
Yeah, that's true. They were. I mean, at the risk of, like... Because I criticize the Hillary supporters for using, like, race as a prop. And hopefully I'm not doing this right now, but, like, my roommate... She's a black lesbian, and I think her single biggest reason for voting for the Green Party was because of Hillary's record with mass incarceration. She's like her whole thing with Trump was like, oh, do you like your racism blatant or systemic? No, what'd she say? Trump wants to beat up Black Lives Matter activists, and to Hillary, Black Lives Matter, because sending them to prison makes me money. So, all right. We got a little off track. Let me get back to the article. This is by Sean King, and this is a scathing critique of what the Democrats did wrong. And it is titled, "The Democratic Party deserves so much of the blame for electing Donald Trump." Election day 2016 was a miserable failure for the Democratic Party. When all the votes are counted, it appears that Donald Trump will have won 30 states and at least 300 electoral college votes. After months of tough talk, Democrats not only lost the presidency, but they lost the Senate and continue to lose the House. It was a thorough drubbing. Calling it anything other than that is a damn lie. But I must linger there for a while. The Democratic Party has mastered lying to itself and its core constituencies. It claims a progressive identity, but it is moderate and lukewarm as it has ever been on so many issues that matter to everyday people. It claims to be tough on Wall Street, financial corruption, and white-collar crime, but is awash in donations from lobbyists and executives in the industry. Democrats claim to be party of the working people, but so often seem to be deeply out of touch with their problems and needs. The party is nowhere near anti-war, but wants the underlying support of peace activists. It claims to love the environment, but has spoken against the Dakota Access Pipeline with the strength of a gnat with one missing wing. And that's in reference to Hillary Clinton finally did release a statement about the Dakota Access Pipeline, and it was pathetic. Basically,
I haven't read that yet.
Oh yeah,
is it as like weak-kneed and spineless as I think it is?
Basically, what she says, like, we need to respect the protesters' right to protest and respect the pipeline's right to be built. So
it is as weak-kneed and spineless as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I think it was like I can't remember who, but somebody from the Sioux Tribe said it was just like it was the perfect non-statement. Yeah. Going on, it's the Democratic Party. Its strongest voting blocs are people of color. The overwhelming majority of white people, including women, voted for Trump, but the party insisted on having an all-white presidential ticket. You know, this is something I complained about.
All they needed was a Nina. All they needed to do was take Nina Turner, put her in the VP slot. They had it in the bag, guys.
Oh yeah, and hey, Nina Tulsi, 2020. Come on,
that's a ticket I'll vote for.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that more later. Okay, going on. Until many of them were fired or replaced after the primary against Bernie Sanders. The senior leaders and puppet masters of the party were almost exclusively white as well. Of the hundreds of millions of dollars spent by the Democratic Party, an embarrassing 1.7% of that went to contractors of color. Do the math. That means 98.3% of Democratic funds go to white businesses. I could go on and on, but I'll highlight one more terrible inconsistency within the party. Young people are the lifeblood of the Democratic Party. They are the idealists and dreamers. They overwhelmingly supported Bernie Sanders for the Democratic nomination. For the first time in recent memory, the clear and obvious candidate of young people was not the choice of the Democratic Party establishment. The Democratic Party is having an identity crisis. While the groundswell of grassroots support in its base is anti-police brutality, pro-environment, pro-immigrant, anti-war, pro-$15 minimum wage, for the legalization of marijuana, and strongly against the Dakota Access Pipeline, the party in general, and Hillary Clinton in particular, lack core convictions on all of these issues, and it shows. It reminds me of Saturday Night Live. I gotta hand it to them. They've been a little bit more even-handed in their humor with the election. And one of my favorite jokes from the last debate skit was Kate McKinnon channeling Hillary Clinton. It's like, well, America, just let me ask you, do you want the Republican or Donald Trump? Goes back to that Chris Hedges quote. And look, I'm not trying to offend any rank and file Republicans. Clear distinction. When I talk about Republicans or demo rats, I mean the politicians who, represent those parties. The actual, American people who affiliate with those parties are mostly okay. But what has happened in the last 30 years, and Chris Hedges has this is a great quote. Bill Clinton's greatest feat was turning Democrats into Republicans and making the Republican establishment insane.
That's kind of been like the rallying cry of the sane all cycle.
Yeah,
honestly.
And don't think I'm just bashing Republicans. There's a lot of conservatives. I mean, part of the reason the libertarians are swelling so much are because a lot of conservatives are leading the Republican Party because they've just gone to bat shit. And it's legitimate. What the Republican Party stands for these days is not what it used to stand for. Authoritarianism. And after Donald Trump's success, I imagine, do you think they're going to become a better party for Donald Trump? No.
Not at all.
Yeah. I imagine the Rand Pauls and John McCains are going to become endangered species in that party, and we're going to see more carnival barkers and blatant racists and Ted Cruz's. Yeah. Okay, going on. All right. Hillary Clinton in particular lacked core convictions on all these issues, and it shows. I bet that nearly every single activist and leader in each of these niche communities will tell you that they feel like strangers in the Democratic Party. And, you can definitely see that. I remember the convention. I was not a delegate, but I had many friends who were Bernie delegates in there. And the Hillary delegates basically treated them like intruders. And, it was definitely unusual because I think the Hillary people were, if not expecting, at least presuming that this is going to be the coronations, the whole family's going to get together. The Bernie delegates came there to protest, and they made sure that was not presented to the mainstream media.
Again, the Democratic National Convention was an Orwellian ruse.
It was.
It was a 100% manufactured rally for one of the most milquetoast neocons that we've ever put up for the presidency.
And one of my favorite photos from the convention was there's a sign this young lady was holding, and it just said, "Stop pretending everything is okay." That's exactly what it was. And
they took that down right quick.
I don't want to pick on Paul. So I really wanted him to win so bad. That was probably the biggest kick in the gut from last night. But I gotta say, and I don't want to be too prescriptive. I think one of their main missteps was basically associating with Clinton and say, and look, I'm not stupid. I know how the Democratic Party works. This was, for Paul to say anything bad about Hillary Clinton, which I don't even think he really dislikes her on a personal level, so he wouldn't really do that in the first place. But to associate yourself with her, that woman is toxic. And what I really wanted to see, from Paul's people is market yourself as a populist to Democrats and Republicans. And there was kind of this worry they did not want to associate anything with Donald Trump. They wanted to use Trump as something to whack over the head with Fred, which I think was kind of a mistake because you got to separate Trump's from Trump supporters, and I think he could have gotten more support from there if he tried. And I bring this up because in his campaign office, and by the way, I loved everyone I worked with. If you guys are listening, Breeden, Chaz, I'm so sorry didn't win, but it was a real great pleasure working with you guys. But they had a magnet on one of the walls that said, "Don't boo, vote." Now, I didn't want to mention or bring it up with anybody, but I found that really offensive because the whole booing thing, that was when President Obama was speaking at the convention and people booed him about basically saying something about how Clinton won fair and square, and Obama responded by saying, "Don't boo, vote." Well, all those people tried to vote, and then the DNC extinguished their voices through mass voter suppression and election fraud. That's why Obama got booed. By the way, we'll have to see how this turns out. But, I was this very cynical talk with a friend of mine. I think what must have happened, granted, there was a great upswell in Trump support, but there's a lot of evidence from Greg Palast, who is a very famous investigative journalist who studies election integrity, that the Republicans were knocking a lot of people of color and minorities off of voter rolls. The whole fake voter fraud thing that hardly ever happens, except a lot of Trump supporters actually did this.
Yeah, every single case of voter fraud that was caught yesterday was committed by a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Let's remember that the right is the one that the right is the political position that is screaming out about voter fraud and fair and clear elections, while they're the ones committing voter suppression and voter fraud.
Yes, yeah, and please don't look, I know a lot of people on the left got so profoundly angered by what the Democratic Party did to us. I was one of them. I mean, that's the single biggest reason I didn't vote for Hillary is you can't steal my car and then ask me for gas money. But you have to understand, I heard from a lot of my radical friends, it's we got complacent. A lot of people figured, and I heard this from a great friend of mine named Don. He's been filming this great documentary going around the country, but he said, any vote is a vote for Hillary Clinton because that's how election fraud works. Guys, I brought this up several months ago. When it comes to the general election, Republicans usually have the advantage in those sort of shenanigans.
Especially since most states are headed by Republican governors. Most state legislatures are headed by Republican bodies.
Hillary Clinton is not.
If Hillary Clinton rigged this election, she did it in the worst possible way.
Worst way. And you got to keep in mind the reason that they were able to rig the primary is because the DNC had access to those voter rolls. They had access to those election machines. They don't have that in the general. In the general, they're pretty much on their own. And we'll see what happens.
In the general, both parties are present at voting locations if those kinds of concerns have been aired. There are representatives from both parties at polling locations to keep an eye on one another, and it's done in a peaceful fashion and not in the let's go out and make sure nobody does voter fraud with guns like some Trump surrogates and Trump himself were talking about.
Oh, there was a shooting in California.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, that's America right there. Polling election day mixed with another mass shooting. Hooray. Oh, God. And yeah, that's exactly the sort of
if you're proud to be an American, how do you sleep at night?
How? And that's exactly the sort of horrible cultural effect I was talking about Donald Trump having. Guys, look, he might not, Hillary, okay, so Hillary, if we're going to use the analogy, she is a Walter White of American politics. And yes, she would have known how to maneuver her way if she'd won, but Donald Trump is dangerous because, like we said, he normalizes the worst parts of American society.
Not to mention that his strategy for political discourse is more akin to a battering ram.
Yeah. Okay,
we're gonna make a deal. They're gonna follow it. I make the best deals. Believe me.
Believe me. And I do legitimately think he will be harder to exert public pressure on, because I feel he's like a stubborn man baby. Hillary Clinton wants to will always want to get reelected, so she'll at least give lip service to issues like the pipeline, and then maybe if you just push her enough, she will. And I don't know how that's going to work under Trump. I really don't.
It might come down to torches and pitchforks.
Yeah,
honestly, there is nothing in the next 4 years that is going to surprise me politically.
Yeah,
it is only like if it does surprise me, it will be good.
Like to quote Hunter S. Thompson, buy the ticket, take the ride, because it's going to be a wild one. We're going through bat country, Luke. All right. I'm going to play a quick current event spot, and we'll get back into the discussion. You're listening to the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo, your only source for political revolution.
DIT Kalamazoo is a collective of individuals in Kalamazoo that seek to help the community's art scene thrive by providing venues for shows, organizing concerts, and booking a wide variety of music and art, both local and out of town. To find out more, feel free to visit ditkalamazoo.com to stay up to date on local shows and events.
Ladies and gentlemen, gotta make a quick phone call to our dear friend Igor. We are back. Going to read a little bit more from Mr. Sean King's article. This is when he's talking a little bit more about kind of just what's gone down that led to the Clinton loss. Although it already seems like ancient history, you must remember that the head of the Democratic National Committee, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, left in a shroud of scandal surrounding emails that were derogatory towards Bernie Sanders and only confirmed the anti-Bernie bias many of us knew existed for more than a year. 3 other top officials from the DNC were fired for the very same thing. Longtime Democratic operative Donna Brazil was brought in to replace Wasserman Schultz. It seemed like a smart move, but further emails have only showed us that she, too, was a part of the problem as she continually fed the Clinton campaign questions that Hillary would receive for debates during the primary. The move was all but eroded trust in her leadership from progressives who were already deeply skeptical of the party. Before the Democratic primaries even began or any of the candidates had their first debate, Hillary Clinton and her team had already sewed up commitments from hundreds of career politicians to serve as their superdelegates, building her what often looked like an insurmountable lead.
Thanks, media.
Yeah, thank you, media. And, historically, they haven't done that before. They have not before included the superdelegates. It's just how brazenly the establishment clamped down on Sanders was surprising even to me. I almost felt like, I've said this before, the establishment is much dumber than I thought. Because it's like cartoonishly, it's like the Three Stooges playing their hand at Orwellian shenanigans. don't know if you guys have seen any of those videos of those rallies where, like, Hillary, like, a crowd is superimposed. There's this great video where you see a guy taping her on her phone. She walks past the phone, and she's not on the phone. Now, unless Hillary Clinton is a vampire, I would assume that they doctored it. And there's also just really sloppy Photoshop. There's this great image of, like, the same crowd copy-pasted over and over again, and it's like, do they even look at this stuff?
It's like, did you even,
out there?
It's like you didn't even try at all, guys.
Yeah, it's like I'm not even that disturbed by
the framing of framing of pictures taken at Hillary Clinton rallies to make it appear as though she had a packed house, but one tweet from one journalist at the rally shows that there's maybe 150 people there.
Yeah, it's this, guys, look, establishment, if you're going to take your cues from 1984, at least, like, don't half-ass it, okay?
If you're going to take your cues from 1984, at least remove it from the public school curriculum.
Yeah, there you go. People can kind of feel a little woke there. Okay, so going on. Even in states where Bernie Sanders beat Hillary Clinton by a landslide, party operatives routinely pledged their support to her anyway, all but ignoring the reality that Bernie was building the very same type of populist movement that could have actually defeated Donald Trump. What have I said? I think both me and Luke this is like the, that phrase, I hate it when I'm right.
Yeah.
I have never hated being right.
Every single salty Bernie supporter, every single person who you think is just a salty Bernie supporter, they have a right to be salty because they were correct and you didn't listen to them.
Why, like, it reminds me of that phrase, like, don't let history repeat itself. It's like, well, those who study their history, or in this case, study what's going on in the election, are doomed to watch other people
screw it up.
So as he goes on, as we now see, this election was not about high-skilled political operatives, polls, or even national campaign experience. Trump had none of that. This campaign was about large crowds, big events, momentum, tone, and social media. Bernie did those things well. Bernie was the anti-Trump. Trump lacks integrity. Bernie is known for this. Trump is a shady billionaire who has stiffed tons of everyday people.
Who's a part of the 1%.
Part of the 1%, guys. Like, oh, man. I am so sorry, all you guys out there who voted for Trump, because he is going to betray you the second he gets into office. Like, it's not going to be like Obama, where you slowly figured out over time that, I think this guy is actually in the pocket of Wall Street, or this guy's going to continue warfare. No, he's going to turn on you people like that. That's my prediction. Like, he'll do enough to make you think that he's going to try to save you. But, I mean, I don't even know if he'll do that. I mean, he's talked about lowering the minimum wage. Like, I mean, I don't know.
The minimum wage is too high, guys? Really?
I don't think this guy is even...
Donald Trump doesn't know how money works.
Donald Trump is not even politically savvy enough to do the lip service thing. So I think it's like, if you wanted... Yeah, he tells it like it is, and he's probably going to, like, screw you over so blatantly that,
I mean, it's very obvious that he's going to screw us over very blatantly because he's already done it multiple times to small businesses.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully the country doesn't go bankrupt like all his casinos do. God. Anyway, Bernie has spent his whole life fighting for working class folk. Trump is a liar, and Bernie is known for his straight-to-the-point honesty. Hillary Clinton was an absolutely terrible matchup for Donald Trump. As Sean King said in May, when every poll that released showed Bernie crushing Trump, Hillary consistently struggled against him. Time and time again. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I hate it when I'm right.
Hate it when I'm right, yeah. Time and time again, polls showed Hillary struggling against Trump. Instead of taking the time to truly understand them, expert pundits and pollsters opted to repeatedly dismiss the validity or methodology of these polls. Clearly, polls like the LA Times, USC poll, which consistently showed Trump ahead, but was widely dismissed as junk science as a result, were onto something. But that was the MO of the Democratic Party from the time the primaries began until we were all gobsmacked by a Trump victory. Dismiss all evidence that says anything other than Hillary Clinton was inevitable. But here we are. The Democratic Party can no longer ride the coattails of Obama. The Democratic Party truly needs to start over from scratch and put people at its core. It clearly has no idea what it's doing and has, as a result, put us all in danger. And if I can add something to that, I reported several weeks on the show about the single WikiLeaks that was most outrageous to me in this whole election cycle. Most outrageous. And that was the Pied Piper email. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'll recap it really briefly, but the Pied Piper email basically says, Clinton campaign, we're going to use our media connections to elevate
the worst, to elevate the worst Republican nominees.
And what they officially did, and look, I'm not saying that as evidence that Trump is a plant. I think, obviously, at this point, I think, no, he wasn't a plant, or if he was a plant, he went rogue. But what they did is they played with fire. They played with the fire of Donald Trump because they thought
got burned hard.
Yeah, these are the only candidates Hillary could beat. Well, guess what? She didn't beat him, and now we're stuck with 4 years of this just nightmarish buffoon. Thanks a lot, Hillary. And
this tiny-handed, fake tan orangutan.
Yep.
And also, honestly, as much as Mike Pence also scares me, if Donald Trump tries to touch the First Amendment, because he has said he wants to open up the libel laws. Like, you want to open up the libel laws so you can legally go after people who you disagree with or who make fun of you. I'm sorry, Donald Trump, you don't get to do that. If you even think about touching the First Amendment or trying to compromise it in any way, please know that I'm going to be on Capitol Hill the instant I hear about it.
Yeah. I was say we all better be Occupy inauguration. All you Hillary supporters, I better see your butts there. All right. Yeah.
Either you better be there and you better drown him out, or you better just stay in your holes.
That's right. Okay, we're going to play a couple of promo bits, and then we'll be back. And I think we should probably pivot the discussion towards, well, what do we do now? Yeah, it's a good question, and something I think everybody in the country is probably asking right now. So keep your dial locked. Listening to the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo, your only source for political revolution.
Is your nonprofit organization looking for new ways to get its name out to Western's campus and the greater Kalamazoo community? Why not use the wider airwaves? For more information on how we can work together to promote your organization and events, go to widerfm.org and click on the airtime and sponsorship page under the support tab.
This is an open slot in the wider clock and could be filled with an underwriting announcement for your local Kalamazoo business. For more information, please visit widerfm.org and head to the support page.
Quick musical break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. You are listening to the Hoodrat Strategist radio program on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo. So yeah, we've been talking about the bombshell, and you know that's the whole thing. Nobody really, it took me by surprise, and you know, we've been saying for months that you know Hillary's a weak candidate. It could risk Donald Trump becoming president, but there's a certain surreality to it that, I mean, I'm still having a hard time processing it. I think most of our listeners probably are too. It's like, this can't be real. We must have like stumbled into the parallel universe, you know?
The darkest timeline.
The darkest timeline, yes. But I also want to make sure, look, so I threw a little election party last night. I did some of my rap music, and the whole idea was I wanted to get people together. It was going to be kind of dispiriting either way.
Yesterday, honestly, like I woke up Tuesday morning and I said to myself, today is not a good day.
No.
Today was not going to be a good day, no matter how it turned out.
No.
We happened to get the result that puts us down the path of American fascism instead of the path where American fascism dies kicking and screaming, yelling about rigged primaries while we go back, while our oligarchical system tries to mollify the people back into something that is malleable for them to use.
Yes.
Either way, yesterday was not going to be a good day.
Guys, like, here's where it really is. We've got 2 years where we just got to batten down the hatches and educate, organize, mobilize. We've got to, whatever path Mr. Trump wants to take us on, we've got to resist with everything we got. Get off your couch. This is go time, all right? If you need to quit your job, quit your job. If you need to, look, you can always go back to being if you're a millennial, you can always go back to being a barista later. But no, this is it, guys.
If you're millennials, if you're trying to make your money streaming video games, it'll still be there when you get back home.
But look, here's where we're at. We have hardly anyone in the Senate or the House who is with us. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, Nina Turner. These people are
they're a rare breed now.
Islands in a sea of, well, I hate to borrow a term from Trump, but yeah, the swamp. They're in a swamp.
The swamp isn't about to be drained, everybody. It's about to get created.
It's going to get swampier. Yeah. So we've got 2 years where we're not going to have hardly anybody in there that can help us. It is going to be about us. We need to resist Donald Trump and make sure there's enough of an America left in 2 years to get those progressives in the House and Senate, to stop Donald Trump, to get the path towards the future we need. And then that will be the precursor we need towards a 2020 ticket with some actual progressives, knock on wood.
Remember, it all starts locally. So if your representative was up and kept their incumbent seat like Fred Upton did here in Kalamazoo, let him know.
Educate.
Let him know that you see him. Let him know that you are upset with his party and him. He is, like, as far as Kalamazoo is concerned on a national stage, he is part of the problem. So I am not saying impeach Fred Upton. I'm not saying recall him. I am saying hold him accountable.
That's right.
Hold our politicians accountable.
We need to be bold. We need to have bravado. We got to be like, anybody taking lobbyist money by the end of the week needs to start packing their bags.
Make sure that their aides
know what your postage stamp looks like.
Yeah.
Make sure they know what they can recognize the voicemail they're about to hear by your phone number.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, one of the best ways to start off the push for the next 2 years is to just be loud.
Dude, this is kind of a separate idea, but I just came up with a really great idea for a chant. Out of the basement into the streets. Yeah. Watch out, Trump. The basement dwellers are coming for you. So, and, that's another part. Like, educate. That's really important. Because the basement dwellers, we need to talk to people in our community. I know a lot of people of our generation are kind of insulated and socially awkward, and this is true, especially a lot of people who are politically active, but
don't be afraid to talk about big ideas.
Yeah.
Guys, politics cannot be a taboo subject in public. We have to be able to learn how to discuss these kinds of big ideas with people we disagree with.
Right. And
this goes for people on both sides.
Yes. And until you can, the reason Mary Balkema and Fred Upton got elected, it was for a single reason. People didn't know. Most people did not know that Fred Upton is a corporate tool or that Mary Balkema is a gentrifying just
epithets that we cannot say on air.
Not on air, yeah. It's trifling.
Trifling. Trifling fool.
Yeah, the trifling fool. But acting like Kalamazoo is some 1950s Southern community. That's the whole thing too. This Kalamazoo is like our strength is our diversity. To have somebody like this in charge of our treasury is gross.
But no, the next 2-year push definitely, like, if you are still unhappy with Congress and the decisions they're making, you have to let your representatives know.
That's right.
You have, it's when we're talking about getting our voices heard, it is in the literal sense. You have to shout down these representatives that have been bought by big money, and you have to tell them, no, we are people too. We are the people who are actually affected by these things.
And keep in mind too, and some of y'all might not like this, but we need to reach across our ideological echo chambers.
We have to find our common ground.
Yes.
Because we all have common ground. We all have a horse in this race, and that horse is called America. Everybody wants the best for America. We have to be able to sit down and talk to one another about this without disrupting the conversation with insults or misrepresenting arguments or or projecting feelings upon text posts.
That's true.
Like the internet and Facebook is one of the greatest things, like some of the greatest things for this, because it does allow for that open discussion.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem is, and I am so guilty of this, it's not even funny. Like, I recognize that I'm guilty of this. We let our emotions push our messaging on social media.
That's true. And you see a lot of that today. Some of what we were complaining about earlier in the
because
program.
Because if it's emotional, like Donald Trump won because he's good at emotional and punchy.
Yes, indeed. And keep in mind, that's part of the problem too. Like, a lot of people attacking us about third-party stuff, they're like really emotional right now. And try not to respond to that with anger.
Everybody's angry.
Everybody's angry.
I'm a white-hot ball of rage.
I think we're all PO'd. Like, this is not the world I signed up for. I'm like, I came out of my we're all doomed climate change research fueled depression.
I grew up on too much Star Trek to let this happen.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, you put it a lot more succinctly than I did.
I grew up on too much Star Trek to let this kind of stuff happen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's funny. Any of you nerds out there, the reason I went and marched with Democracy Spring is I remember what Jadzia said. I had a moment of clarity. Anyway, so let me share with you guys like an idea I was spitballing with some of my activist buddies. just give you an example of what I'm talking about when I mean we got to build these bridges. So when we still thought it was probably going to be Hillary, we had this idea of, what was it? Make America a future to believe in. Like this idea that we were going to unite all of these angry Trump supporters with the anti-Hillary progressives and really try to, it would be kind of like a listening and exploration tour. We'd have like, our representatives, it'd be like diverse. We'd talk about because there's a lot of common ground here. The people
we have to remember that people on the left and people on the right are angry.
Yeah.
And the reason why Donald Trump was successful is because he used that anchor. And one of the reasons why Bernie Sanders was so successful, starting at a 3% polling, starting at 3% in the polls when he entered the race, one of the things that made him so successful is because he played on that anger. The difference between the two is that Bernie turned it into something constructive.
Yeah. And you fight, the way you fight ignorance is with understanding. So what you do is you got, and we the kind of social justice warrior left. There's something they need to understand if we're going to try to build these coalitions. It's that a lot of these people, they're ignorant because they're ignorant. A lot of these people in Trump country have literally never met a Muslim. Maybe they've never talked to a black person from the inner city. They don't know because they don't know. All lives matter to them because they don't know about the history of systemic racism against black people.
They don't experience it. They don't live around it. They don't know anybody who's lived in it. It is a matter of education.
Yeah, so we need to be more comfortable with stepping out of our comfort zones, because otherwise we're only going to embolden Trump's rhetoric. We need to basically we need to wake up the Trump people as much as we need to wake up the Hillary people. And yeah, if you're brave enough, we gotta step out in the country. You gotta step out in the country and do this. Build those bridges where we can build them. Because I'm pretty sure as time goes on, the Trump supporters, some of them are gonna realize, kind of like we realized with Obama, wait a minute, this guy is not giving us what he sold us. And that's an opportunity.
Probably the best opportunity, honestly.
Oh, yeah. I want to share, this is, again, some more, another excerpt from the article from Trent Lipinski. Dear Democrats, read this if you do not understand why Trump won. And this section is under There Is Good News. This is what he has to say. While you weren't paying attention, Trump is actually a former Democrat. If you study his actual values, he has more in common with traditional moderate or liberal values than he does a traditional conservative. In fact, Trump may be even more liberal than Hillary Clinton on several issues. The media prevented any kind of discussion on values and instead focused on rhetoric and propaganda. So most Americans who immediately defaulted to what the media and Clinton campaign told them never took the time to actually get to know Donald Trump. They just watched the jokes on SNL and corporate media blindly without considering other sources. Well, I'm still unsure about Trump myself. We at least know politically he's actually a New York Democrat in Republican clothing, and this is why the Republican establishment rejected him. You also need to consider that Donald Trump just overthrew a group of political elites who have been ruling this country for decades. He just beat the political establishment single-handedly. No matter what you think about him personally, he just accomplished something historical to become our president. At the end of the day, this is an opportunity to learn and grow and consider another worldview. This is a wake-up call to get out of safe spaces, politically correct thinking, shatter echo chambers, and challenge yourself to consider the other side of the fence. This is an opportunity to reach out and truly learn to understand each other.
What was that? There was a phrase I just came across. One of the reasons why Hillary Clinton has lost was because she ran on a PC outrage campaign, and the army of social justice warriors that people like to deride pushed people who didn't think like them out.
That's true. This is actually very early criticism. This is prior to the whole Bernie thing. I had a lot of criticisms about that because we were being far too bombastic and aggressive. When you're trying to explain these kinds of cultural differences and sensitivity, you don't wallop people over the head with it. And I think that helped build an environment that Donald Trump was able to rise out of. Because
it helped solidify the Republican base, because the left is sitting here associating the entire right with the hatefulness of the Trump campaign.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, if you, my conservative friends out there who do believe that Donald Trump is the better result than Hillary Clinton, please, I respect that opinion. I can respect that opinion of you. But if you say that and I tell you, and I say something like, it's just a shame that racist rhetoric, xenophobia, and outright nationalism won this election, and say that is not a bad thing, I need you to reflect upon that, and I need you to take a hike over to Berlin, Germany, and check out some of the Holocaust museums.
Really?
And actually learn about the exact way the National Socialist Party of Germany came to power.
There are, and there are some creepy parallels. And I don't think, a lot of people have talked about, and even this guy's talking about, Trump's motivations. And, that's the real problem. I think if we can exert any sort of public pressure on Trump, it is this. Right now, he's playing a game, the Southern strategy game, to sweep up all these votes. But like I've said before, he's kind of a narcissistic, chameleon.
No, he's a narcissistic opportunist.
Yes. So, I mean, if you can push him enough, what are his motivations? He likes to be liked. He likes to make money.
He likes to brag about how great he is.
So
let's give him a reason to brag about how he was one of the greatest presidents of all time. Let's convince him that social progress shouldn't be reverted because of a conservative sweep.
Right.
Let's convince him that no, actually, these things that people want and support aren't going, opposing these things isn't going to make America great. Let's convince Donald Trump that if he wants to be a great president and if he wants to make America great again, that he has to work with us to do it.
And whoever Trump is as a person, I mean, we know who
we all have a pretty good idea of who he is as a person.
He's a mess. He's a deplorable mess. But what we need to really think about going forward is, even though he's just a terrible human being, he is no longer just running this sick used car salesman snake oil act. He's actually going to be the president of everybody in America. And it is going to be up to us to tell him, no, Trump, banning Muslims does not make America great. Building a wall makes America stupid. Doing this is bad. And
reverting Roe v. Wade is not going to make America great. Reverting the marriage equality decision by the Supreme Court is not going to make America great. And these things do not make America great. Our diversity and our strength lies in our strength and our weakness lies in our diversity. But ultimately, we can turn it into a bigger strength than a weakness.
And I think we need to turn that into a strength. You got to keep in mind, guys, this guy does not have any loyalty to conservative ideologies. He used it to get elected.
You could say that he had the only I could safely assume that the only loyalty Trump has is to Trump.
Yeah. And I will say, it's probably going to be a tug of war between the influence of Michael Pence and our influence as the American public. You've already seen in the primary, those two clash a little bit. And basically, Mike Pence is the hyper-conservative lip service that gives validity to Trump's status as a conservative. I'm doing the parentheses things with my fingers.
You can't see it, but I'm doing the air quotes.
Yeah. So if you cajole Trump, if you bring down the public pressure hammer down on him against the wishes of his Veep, will he cede to public pressure? Well, that remains to be seen. But I think that's a good strategy.
Or will his tiny hands be able to juggle all of these balls?
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. Let's organize a campaign. Donald Trump, if you don't pass universal health care, we're just going to spam you on Twitter talking about your hands.
Like, and
maybe we can bully him. And
I mean, it was a legitimate argument. Yeah. This man can be goaded into an argument on Twitter, and like you can say one or two like witty quips to this guy to set him off, and he'll go for 8 hours,
just on and on and on. And
so let's try to turn that weakness into our advantage as a people. Let's use that to let's try to use that weakness against him. Let's try to, like, if you want respect, if you want to be liked, if you want to be known as someone that did actually help make America great, then maybe don't cede to that kind of thin-skinned pressure.
And I'll say this is an argument I actually didn't really agree with it, but some of my activist friends wanted Trump more than Hillary because they thought his election would be so gross that it would kindle like a progressive backlash, a progressive uprising. Well, any of y'all who were talking about that during the general election, okay, time to put your money where your mouth is, because this is the scenario we're in now. We got to organize. We got to revolt, everyone, because this is revolting. So anybody like the Jimmy Dores or all of those just staunch anti-establishment activists who weren't willing to bite on the strategic Hillary vote, put your money where your mouth is. We got to organize. And all of you out there too, I'm put some heat on you. If you're one of these keyboard warriors who is either like insulting third-party people today, or is doing something, or is complaining, is scared about what Trump could do if he actually ends up trying to ban Muslims or build a wall. Donald Trump can only do as much as we allow. And what I mean by that is the people need to realize their power.
The Constitution, it's built in. It's built into our founding documents. If our government becomes tyrannical, we should fix it.
Yeah.
And if it it really does feel, from at least certain perspectives, that our government is becoming too tyrannical to fix. It's getting to the point where we might see things begin to really fall apart.
That's true. Our future hinges on the collective apathy or engagement of the American public. And if we have more apathy than engagement, well,
this is what we get, guys.
We're doomed. Yeah.
This is what we get.
Yeah.
So again, just to cap it off, please stop. Please stop blaming third-party voters for Hillary Clinton's loss. Please stop blaming the third parties for Hillary's lack of enthusiasm and her lack of engagement.
Yep. And just the metrics were against her, guys. That's not our fault. That's just reality. Time to face it. Learn from our mistakes and move forward in the future. And we're about out of time. I want to leave y'all with one last little note. And, I blend a lot of my political commentary with, hoodrat colloquialisms and pop culture references. And this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. All of you out there who are now writing off the future, who are despondent, who thinks this is it, human civilization is just, we're doomed, there's no way out of this. Remember what Sarah Connor said. The future is not set. There is no fate but what we make for ourselves. So what's it gonna be, ladies and gentlemen? Just gonna let the machines roll over us? Or are we gonna unite and grab Skynet by the balls?
I don't know. Skynet might be a better alternative to Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'd be a debate for a future episode. All right. I want to thank y'all for tuning into the Hoodrat Strategist radio program. It's been a pleasure talking to you through this very hard day. But remember, y'all, when freedom is a struggle, struggle's all you got. You got to live in that struggle. And that's what we got to be doing the next couple years. Anyway, y'all have a good night. And hold on, keep your eyes on the prize.